Welcome back to Vendor Besties, Season 2, Episode 8.
Oh my gosh. Cheers. 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 Cheers.
We're welcoming back Diana today from the Victorian Belle. She was a guest on 2 of our episodes last season and definitely a vendor bestie. We all love working at the Belle very much. And
so much.
Diana's a big part of that. So we're pleased to have her here.
Thanks for having me.
And what are we discussing today, Diana?
AI.
Ooh.
I'm so excited about this episode.
This episode is AI. It's generated by VO3.
Are you going to replace us all with a raccoon?
Yeah, at this point. Man, AI, it seems like the common enemy and also the best thing that's ever happened. So what is it?
It's a real frenemy.
It's
A frenemy. Yeah, it's toxic.
It's happening, and if we don't decide how we're using it, if we're using it, taking a stance on it, deciding what makes sense for our businesses, you're going to get left behind. There's consequences and ramifications to choosing to use AI, and obviously we're all dealing with it. So what are the ramifications of using generative AI as a creator?
Well, and is it the difference is the conversation about generative AI in general, or AI as a tool a different way?
I want to define AI before we start this conversation because I think AI is a little bit ambiguous. What I've seen is it's mostly a marketing tool to where when smartphones came out, everything was smart. Smart cars, smartphone, smart watch. And it just implied that there was a digital screen of some sort. AI artificial intelligence is an augmented computer-based learning system that builds off of itself. I think there's a lot of tools out there labeled AI as a selling point to kind of piggyback off of the momentum, whereas ChatGPT and other language-based models are actually artificial intelligence that's using itself to learn and produce results.
Right. Sure, and it started out as used for translation. That was the origins of AI as a software, and it's kind of inherently just wool gathering all the time, right? That's what it does. Is it reaches out and it absorbs some stuff and it learns, and every successive model of AI is restarts itself in the learning process. So each model has to train. So every time it's not like a software update. Each model has to train itself all over again. So in terms of, is this a digression if I talk about environmental impact?
No, not at all, because I want to talk about environmental.
I think environmental impact of AI is incredibly important because you have these data centers, and AI requires massive amounts of data storage. Data centers need electricity. They need cooling systems, which requires an enormous amount of water. So every AI query you make uses anywhere from a couple of teaspoons of water to a pint of water for a conversation. A conversation takes a pint of water, depending on where you're located and depending on where the data center is located. So there's a lot of things that go into that, but it's we have to use it responsibly and not just oh, I want flowers in the background of my Instagram post. I'm going to send this off and waste some water. Water is one of the world resource crises, and I think we need to be responsible about it.
Yeah.
But that's a total digression.
No, it's not. I think it's relevant. And initially, when Instagram rolled out the in stories where you could do a generated background that tied into whatever you're doing. I know we were doing them all the time, and I was like, that's so cool, that's so rad. And then I was like, oh wait, okay, well, it's not really necessary, and I'm not nothing is significantly improved. I'm not going to sell more by doing that. I'm not learning something by doing that. You know what I mean? I now use it very sparingly. I will admit and say that I don't not use it at all, but I do use it sparingly when I am struggling to pull together an idea that I think the information exists, but I want to quickly collate the information. And really, I should go back to Googling this, because Google's AI that it automatically gives you if you have the thing turned on is basically giving me the same information. But I will admit that I've been tempted to see if chat can help me with my taxes this year.
It can.
You probably can.
But
I will
But
say
also don't trust it to do math.
Right.
the other key piece that we need to remember about AI. AI was created by man. It is done by coding. My husband, who is a programmer by trade, has taught me a lot about the internet and programming and coding by nature. And one of the key things about AI he has taught me is that it is not fault proof. AI in general gets all of its information from the internet. The internet is man-made.
Right.
So do not take it as the be-all, end all.
Yeah, it's absolutely as fallible as humans, and goodness knows that we are that.
So I think I kind of want to add one more piece of context to this part of the conversation, and then I want to try and push us over into how we're seeing it impact the industry. And that being that when we talk about AI, there's generative AI, where we are creating imagery. And sometimes people will do this like, let me take a picture of my cake and create a whole wedding scene behind it, or let me create a whole new cake, for example. There's AI that might help you write your emails, might help you draft text. And then there's also AI processes within some of the software that we use, like if we're using Photoshop or Lightroom, that is going to mess with the actual pixels of images without necessarily generating something, but it's going to automate certain processes.
Also help remove the distractions.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fantastic.
So when we talk about using AI, it is a nuanced conversation, and there are large-scale environmental impacts to using any of it. However, it's also important to understand that I think there's nuance in terms of when it becomes unethical and when it becomes, are you actually running a business that is keeping up with the times and utilizing this tool in a way that's going to do better for you.
And I do want to point out, today is March 5th, and very recently there's political controversy around specific AI platforms, and we're not getting into that today. And yes, bad people do bad things, and don't support them. That's as far as we're going to go with that.
Correct. So I wanted to ask, in terms of running a venue, I mean, what are some ways that you're seeing AI impact your experience of planning weddings this year?
So there's lots of ways where AI is coming into the process. It used to be that I was only seeing AI in weird scammer emails requesting, like, oh, you know, they're
Like a bot email.
a bot email. It's, yeah, coming from somebody who is in another country and their language is obviously awkward. Now I'm seeing AI in inquiries. So people are using it. They're asking AI, hey, help me write an inquiry to a wedding venue, because when people get started, they don't know what questions to ask. When I tour people at the venue, like, venue is like the first thing that people are doing for their wedding. Like, if you don't have a venue, you don't have a wedding date. And so I'm the first thing that people see, and they are also expressing tons of uncertainty. They express so much like overwhelm. And so I think that people are seeing AI as a way to get questions answered right away, and also to help guide their process so that they can take some of the stress pieces out of what they're doing, because weddings are so much. So what I think I'm seeing happening is that people are saying, hey, like, help me write an inquiry and help me, what questions do I need to ask to a venue? And what I'm seeing, and the reason I know that these are AI is because what I'm seeing are numerical questions. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and
The formatting is often
right. The formatting is the trigger for me to know that this is probably AI. And what it's doing is they're asking for all of this information up front instead of having us just sort of like disseminate information in a logical way gradually so that people can take it all in, because our venue offers a lot of services, and so I try not to like info dump on them all at once. And the advice years ago from like the Knot and Wedding Wire was like, hey, you should only respond in like 300 characters at a time. You should respond like you're in DMs with somebody. And I can't, like, that doesn't really work for me. But when somebody sends me a long list of questions, now I'm sending them
a long list of answers,
200 words of answers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this doesn't align. Like, they're not, I'm worried that people can't take this stuff in. And for me as a venue, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I get paid. This is my job. My job is literally to answer questions and, you know, guide people through venue processes. But for like small business people, like if you're spending an hour answering an inquiry that may or may not ghost you, Like, that's a lot of time that you aren't getting paid for.
Right.
And like, it's not going away. So how do we balance that? And how do we?
I think you brought up a good point when you said the triggers. So knowing what is AI, and knowing how to identify it, and then knowing how you want to utilize it, because it's not going away. And if you're not using it, somebody else will. So all that water and that stuff, and so it's hard to like justify it completely, but it's also, you need it, or you're going to, almost get left in the dust. It's like the first guy to get a gasoline powered car. Yeah. It's obviously bad for the environment, way more useful than a horse. But like, I'm sure there were people that looked at the guy with the gasoline car and said, you're going to screw up the environment. And lo and behold, we did. Right. And now we've regulated it. We have hybrid cars, we have electric cars, and we're figuring it out. I think it's in the gold rush era of AI. So everybody's trying to get a rein on it. Last year, it was, I'm going to use it for everything. Right. This year, it's like, that might look a little robotic. And how are we going to figure it out based on environmental, political, and just genuine nature of how you want to come across to your people?
Well, and tying back into the Gen Z question, a bunch of them hate it and are like, they really are looking, especially in the events industry, for their wedding, they're really looking at people that are genuine as far as vendors. They are absolutely going off vibes over actual quality first. And when it's both, that's great, but they want vendors they can vibe with, and they are not going to give you the time of day if all of your content is written by AI in such a way, I will clarify, that it's easily pinpointable. And I'm going to tell you right now, ChatGPT, if you have not trained it to sound like you, will write all of its responses in the exact same format. Really interesting statement. I'm going to break that down a little bit. Here are 3 examples, 2 very short sentences that are the bottom line.
Yeah.
And every one of them is written that way.
7th grade thesis statement format.
Right. And so in the industry, as far as marketing goes, which I don't know if we're ready to get into that part, but I can spot now autism brain pattern recognition. Every single, like, scrolling through Instagram, yep, that one is, yep, that one is, yep, that one is. And the thing is it's literally just, it's cookie cutter. Do you want to be cookie cutter in the industry anyway?
No. And it's like, I can tell when somebody's taken a photo genuinely with their camera, popped it into Lightroom, and put all the filters on it. And it looks like an AI generated. I saw their BTS. I know them as a photographer. I know they took that picture where they put all the filters on it. And I'm like, you might as well have just generated a picture of this family at the beach.
Well, that leads me into something important. You can tell, but the reality is we are dealing with so much AI generated imagery that a lot of people can't. And it's getting so much better that even with good pattern recognition, even with some understanding of what AI things to look for, we scroll through so much media every day, you're gonna miss a lot that's generated because we consume too much to pay attention to those details. And I find, as someone who creates a physical product, that the amount of reference material that I am being sent that is AI generated, which is creating hopes and wants in my clients, is gone from a few images here and there to almost every single inquiry that comes my way is, if it's not being pulled directly from my own page, it was pulled off Pinterest and it was AI generated. Yeah. And this is sort of reinforcing this hope and desire for weddings that are extremely out of budget and extremely unrealistic, and leads to some awkward consultations where it's like, this isn't real. Here's how I could make it real. I can't make it real. And the conversation from there, at least on the end of like, how do I create something, winds up, I think, leading to a lot of initial disappointment. And when we're in the consultation process, leading off with disappointing people,
bummer.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Well, so for cake artists specifically, like a bunch of these AI generated photos
Who's making them?
are, well,
Who's sitting
that's a
here
great
generating
question.
Cakes. There's
But-
so many.
But
AI bots are generating.
they portray things that are not physically possible in some cases at all, but often in a way, like people are like, I hate fondant, and the thing that they
Yeah, I
sent you
just
can
had
only be done with fondant.
I just had a consult like that where I got a bunch of references and I had to break down, you know, that whole this is AI, here's what's possible, here's what's not. If we were to create something like this, here's what the process would look like. Oh my gosh, I hate that. I absolutely don't want to use any of those materials or make something that's that sculptural. It's like, well,
That's what you sent me.
this is, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board here.
Right.
Because in order to make something so fantastical in actual materials, and this is going to be the same if you're dealing with florals, if you're dealing with tablescapes, if you're any of it, you're looking at this fantastical, magical, beautiful thing. If we're going to do that in real life, the amount of structure behind the scenes is going to cost so much money, and you will still be making compromises. So why don't we try to find some references? And this is what I do when I'm faced with this. Let me send you back references from actual artists.
That's what's doable.
And we can start this conversation over once we've had a chance to look at reality.
Well, and for florists, it's creating flowers that don't exist. and or flowers that do exist, but in colors that do not exist. And do you want to pay your florist to paint your flowers? That's a thing. You can paint and dye flowers, and some florists will do it, but that's additional labor, that's additional materials. Like, the biggest thing for me, aside from this is not actually in the physical realm of possibility, is the labor side. Like, we've just talked about labor and how much is an unseen cost. Well, this AI dreams magnify that hugely. People this is the first year where I've gotten pictures from clients that are like, oh, this is what I would love to see for my tablescape or whatever, and especially if it's something outside. And like, it has a whole ramifications of setup and tents and things, and there's lights in the tents and all of that. And I'm like, do you have any idea what tents cost, what draping in a tent costs, what lighting in a tent costs, the structure to keep the whole thing from falling on your head? And all of that is put up by people that don't work for free. Like, the unseen labor costs for this dream is astronomical, and you don't have that kind of budget. Sorry.
Funny story.
I had a bride who, no joke, gave our florist 2 photos. One photo was this photo that went viral. I think it was like in Vogue or something. It was a cascading orchid bouquet. Cost like thousands of dollars. And then this other photo she sent her was her own AI generated bouquet.
Yeah, I'll get that sometimes too.
And then the florist is like, I can't do either of these with your budget. Like, one literally does not exist, and the other is so far out of your budget.
So, funny story here. I have a 4-year-old. She's amazing and precocious and all of the things. And she says, when we have enough magic, we'll turn me into a kitty. Because the language that she speaks right now is Pete the cat, cats around us, and magic. How do you translate that to reality? And that is the exact same question here, is how now, as we as wedding vendors, and very specifically you all as artisans versus like venue host, you have to translate magic into reality for clients, because they now speak an entirely different visual language. Visual and written language generated by AI, and that language is continually informed by itself. It's an echo chamber of magic.
Of stolen magic too.
Stolen
we
magic.
haven't even talked about that.
We haven't got to
because
that.
we don't have enough time to get to all of the things.
Right, so now your job is to be a Rosetta Stone between magic and reality for clients, and you're trying to figure out how to bring them down softly.
The thing is, like, I think that's definitely an evil of the AI for cake and florists and people who are like over exaggerating the capability based on the budget. However, I have had a lot of experiences as a videographer where I AI generate a storyboard or a vision for a music video or a wedding video even, and then I turn that into reality.
Yeah.
So like, you know,
But you're feeding it things that are possible. You're not telling it to go hog wild and say, no parameters, whatever. You're like, here's the thing, and this is what it needs to look like.
You're using it as a tool to automate a section of your creative process so that you can deliver a better product for your customers.
Absolutely.
And that's the good way to use it, right?
And your medium is technology.
Right.
Her medium is frosting and flour and milk, and
Hands-on.
their medium is product and flowers.
Right. In a way, I'm bringing technology into the real because I'm recording real people playing music or weddings, and you're taking the digital and making it real into a cake. But we do have to, like, that just has to be part of the conversation.
Dude,
in a healthy way.
One of the best things that AI has brought photographers is improved denoise and spot removal. Being able to change the aperture of your shots and being able to do some of this stuff very quickly helps tremendously.
The AI features for photography and videography, I feel, outweigh the negative.
I've been using them for 10 years. Like, I've been using all these like denoise features for 10 years. A lot of them are just rebranded as AI, but like the new stuff is incredible.
Like
the new stuff is
the
incredible.
red eye removal.
Yeah, that's been
Ultimately,
20 years of tech. but-
Okay, we're running low on time, and there's one quick thing that I do want to bring into this conversation that I think is really important. And this came about on a social media page that I follow recently, where they had, I sort of referenced this earlier, where they had taken something they'd made and generated this beautiful cake in a very luxury high-end wedding setting with a beautiful couple. And then they were essentially instructing their audience, this was an educational page, you can do the same, DM me for my prompt or whatever. And I think that this is kind of a red flag for the industry, and this is one area where we should all collectively agree we're not going to fill our portfolios with generated weddings and generated events and generated products.
Yep.
It is just as dangerous to sell an event capacity and experience that you don't have as it is to generate the product that you make, or to take, here's a picture of my table, I'm gonna run it through AI just to clean it up a little bit because I don't have a professional camera. You are selling an inauthentic lie to your customers when you use AI to make your product better than it is, and I don't think there's any justification for that.
And especially if your product is already high quality like yours, there's no reason for you to do that. For people that are starting out, they're going to say, well, I don't have that portfolio yet. Bingo, you don't have that portfolio yet.
Build it.
You have to build it. And I'm sorry, you have to go through the expense and the time and the generating of your own resources to build that portfolio. That's why we do say,
So did everybody else.
get into styled shoots. And yeah, you're going to put forth stuff and hopefully you can scrape it together to do that. But that's how you build your portfolio, is you get involved in the ways to make this stuff happen. You cannot advertise a scene from a beautiful banquet hall that has been totally generated on AI as something that you're capable of, because you didn't do that.
The computer did that.
You can do that, and people do that, and your customers will see your work and see the genuine and prefer it. We're in a weird impasse, but I feel like that will just continue to be more and more obvious as much as we can lean into genuine.
There are planner companies out there saying, show me a beautiful tablescape and it's got all of these things on it and whatever, and it generates that, and that planner is absolutely not capable of understanding the level of labor and logistics and all of the things and the design elements to pull that off.
Point being, people will see that.
They're not.
But they're not going to see it until they walk into their wedding day, and it's not what they wanted.
Right.
When you hire me to make a wedding cake,
And you're paying them thousands of dollars to do the service.
There's been fake people for generations. So
Using false advertisement.
using false advertisement.
Correct, but using AI as a false advertisement is wrong in our industry.
Absolutely.
That's what we're pointing
That's
out.
what we're saying.
What I'm saying is people will discover that over time.
Which we're calling them out.
so what we're saying is, because we have so many new vendors that watch this pod and we're trying to make statements about how we think the industry should function, you are setting your clients up to be majorly disappointed when you realize far too late you can't deliver. I don't just drop a cake off at a venue.
You will get found.
Hiring me as a wedding vendor, the differences between a cottage baker who just does Paw Patrol birthday cakes and myself, you're going to know that from the second you get a response email to me, the consultation that we have, the entire process comes from the experience of having done it.
Right.
And yeah, people will get found out, but it's a lot easier to lie when you can make any image you want appear on your screen, and they don't find out until they walk into their venue all that day and they didn't get what they paid for, and you've ruined their wedding.
Thank
Well,
you.
And one of the things that when you responded to that cake post a couple of weeks ago, one of the things that stood out to me about your response was that you think that you are giving an image of your work, your cake, to AI to just generate a background. But what's also happening is AI is smoothing over your product.
It's a whole new thing. It's generating every single picture. AI isn't masking your product out and putting a new background on it. That's not what it works. It is creating an entire new picture. That's why things have gone viral before, where it's like, I'm gonna take this picture of The Rock and run it through AI 16 times to see how goofy he looks at the end, right? It changes the image every single time.
Yeah.
Right.
So that even one.
So what's our just don't? Because we could definitely go on forever.
Yeah,
Just
we got
don't
like
use
2 minutes.
AI unethically, and that means a multiple of things. Don't use it disingenuously to represent something that you are not yet capable of. Don't use it to clutter up the industry with noise that is just going to confuse our clients. And please consider the environmental impact of using it before you use it. Are you using it because it's fun and entertaining? Or are you using it as an educational tool or a process?
Can we insert a bunch of raccoons?
And we do that.
We 100% use AI, guys. We do.
We do.
So, okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Excellent conversation. Good job, everybody.
I've been trying to get ahead, but I keep falling short. Sometimes it's tough getting out of bed when I'm feeling out of sorts. Call it what you will. It's just the art of standing still. I'm just trying to get it right. Call up my besties for a ride. You know the best is yet to come.